It's Dew Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Dew Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you all week? We didn't start on Shaking the Monday Morning Blues because it was the Labor Day holiday. But on Tuesday, let's talk about it Tuesday. We talked about Adrian Balin and Israel Horton being on that podcast, just chatting it up and telling everybody how she prayed for him after, he lost his marriage and had fathered 2 children while he was married. And boy, did they get some scrutiny. It was not as well received as they thought. No, people said that, hey, must be wonderful to be a Christian and getting out because you prayed, or, I don't want no love like that. We have to watch how we present God to people. It's more than just he getting a divorce at the first part of the year, and then by the end of the year, he's already remarrying because you feel you prayed and this is what happened. This is a miracle. Miraculously, you were able to get to this man who, had been unfaithful. So now all of a sudden he's going to be faithful to you, is what people are saying. So go back and listen because there's a lot of intricacies that's going on. Well, wow, Wednesday rolled around and we got to talking with our girlfriend Vivian, and we talked about the Brooklyn Labor Day West Indian American Day Parade. Man, they pulled out everything: helicopters, metal detectors, drones, barricades, the whole 9 yards, and yet there was still a shooting and there was still slashing. And what's with the behavior? Are y'all really waiting for these people to get to the point that they're going to just revoke any licenses that they've ever given for these particular, or this particular parade? Because what it's going to do is it's going to flag every parade. And if they start shutting them down, there will be no culture. There will be no creativity. No. So come on, people, let's get this together. Well, the wow story was one of a 25-year-old young woman who had a boyfriend, 19 years old, left him alone, so she says, for 45 minutes with her 1-year-old, only to find out that they got to make an emergency room trip. The baby's skull, part of her skull, had to be removed in emergency surgery because the boyfriend punched the baby in her head. And we keep asking, how long is it going to take for y'all to figure out that you cannot leave these men with these babies? Maybe one day somebody will figure this out. Maybe, just maybe one day somebody will figure this thing out. Well, Therapeutic Thursday was quite interesting, as there was a new segment introduced, Who's Really Wrong? And whoa, we had some video situations. Yes, the first one we really had to swallow. A woman, we don't know what she did, but she was handcuffed. A police officer on one side, a male on one side, female on the other side, and she turned to bite the male. And boy, did he clock her. Who's really wrong? Some people were like, hey, I mean, not in our group necessarily, but there was some responses in the comments of the video. Hey, listen, she tried to bite him. Yeah, well, Pastor KL did say that. She tried to bite him. We don't know if, he don't know if she had any AIDS or disease or whatever. But you know what? You get what you deserve. We talked about the mom. We saw the video of the mom who shaved off her son's head. Looks like she gave him a little interesting haircut when he decided to get high. She said, oh, what, you're like 12 or 13 years old? Well, not only did you get high, she said, but then he came high in my house. Well, mamas ain't taking it no more. Yeah. And we definitely saw an act of love. I want to say it like that. When a man and a self-defense trainer help a little boy to understand what the move was about. And I'm going to put it just like that. So you're going to have to go back and look at it so you can know what I'm talking about. Well, today is Freestyle Friday, and we get to do whatever it is we want to do. Well, talk to the men is what we do. And talking to the men always ends up very thought-provoking. Now, I got to admit, I don't have no real exciting news today. So I'm hoping that our men, they spice it up, and maybe they'll have something to talk about. Maybe we'll put it on the table. We'll see. Are they up to it? Are they up to it? Well, I don't know. We'll find out. So let's get this party started. Go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that it's due time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
Walt Disney didn't create all the magic. He just made sure Floyd Norman didn't get credit for it.
Damn.
Floyd Norman broke barriers in 1956. He became the first black animator at Disney Studios. His hands helped bring to life classics like Sleeping Beauty, Jungle Book, and The 101 Dalmatians.
Wow.
But his name buried beneath the mouse. Walt himself called Floyd the kid with talent. But when it came time to give credit, Floyd stayed invisible. He didn't just draw, he made storylines, pitched ideas, and shaped characters. Yet when they needed diversity for the cameras, he was brought out. When it came time to reward creativity, they looked elsewhere. Even after retirement, Floyd kept showing up, because his love for animation outweighed their erasure. He worked on Mulan, Toy Story 2, and Monsters, Inc. with no spotlight. But here's what they don't want you to know. Black creativity built the magic. It just never got the fairy tale ending. Floyd Norman is 80.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to His Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Freestyle Friday. Oh, we made it, y'all. We made it. By the grace of God, who loves us enough. Some people didn't make it, but others did. So we're going to give God thanks that we are alive and well and in our right frame of mind. And you know what time it is. It's time to say good morning. And the room is kind of empty today, but we'll say good morning nonetheless to our loyal viewers. Well, we got to check in from our boy Terrence. Hey, Terrence, Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We got our girl Kenny in the room. Good morning, Kenny. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm going to give a shout out to Miss Grace. Hey, Miss Grace. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we could not go any further without saying good morning to the ladies who hold it down every morning, who enable us to be on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Shantice, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And our girl Anika. Good morning. Good morning. So Serge, you don't want to be left out. Is that what's going on? Good morning, Serge. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Well, we always got our trivia going on. And this morning, we have a list of comedians who they say died way too soon and left fans heartbroken. So let's see what they have here. Who they have here. Let's see. Oh, Richard Pryor. Yeah. Richard Pryor was known for his explicit and raw, let's say, jokes, his stand-ups. And I guess because of my age, I didn't look, couldn't look at it. And then when I got a little older, I just wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in listening to his stand-up. It just nothing appealed to me about it. I did look at some movies and they were okay, and I don't know if it was say too soon. I want to go back to that. And Shanti's, write that down. They say too soon, but can we say too soon? All righty. So I don't know. Bernie Mac. Oh, Bernie Mac, one of the kings of comedy. And, being older, I got an opportunity to see Bernie Mac a little bit more at that time. I guess there was what was the name of that on BET? Wasn't it with Martin Lawrence and hosted it? And then what's his name? Dale Hughley hosted it for a while. Yeah. Let me see. I gotta go back and forth because I see a comment about our Richard Pryor. Okay, so Terrence says, I think Richard Pryor did accomplish a lot while he was here, though. He did. He actually did. And he didn't die at a young age. And that's kind of like, I'm agreeing with you, Terrence, which is why it begs me to bring up the question, who's to say too soon? Should he have been telling jokes when he was like 93? I don't know. Because as long as he was here, they would have been expecting him to tell jokes. I don't know, Terrence. All three of these gentlemen up there accomplished a lot. They didn't die too soon. I think they really served their purpose. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're going to have some other people on this list. So let's see who else is on this list. So going back to Bernie Mac, I think I'm with Terrence. I think that, he did accomplish a lot while he was here. Could we have him around for a little bit longer? I'm sure we could have had him around for a little while longer. Wait. Terrence says what? The first name should be the guy. Wait, I'm sorry. The guy from Black Panther, he died too soon. All right. Oh, but he wasn't a comedian. You're talking about Chadwick Boseman. Yeah, but he's we're talking about comedians who they say died too soon. All right, so let's see who else they have on this list. Robin Williams. Now, he died in 2014. his sudden death. And I think Bernie Mac kind of suddenly left us also because a lot of people didn't know he had cancer. And Robin Williams committed suicide. So nobody was prepared for his death. So I think he accomplished a lot. I don't know if y'all are old enough to remember Mork and Mindy. And I think that's when he really first made his appearance on TV or well known. But, a lot of these people are comedians on the low circuit before they, get this big, their big break. So I don't know, Robin Williams, I wasn't big on Robin Williams stand up. So I don't know, how great of a comedian he was. John Belushi, now he died back in 1982. He died from an overdose. I remember that very specifically. He was part of Saturday Night Live. Yeah, they had what they used to call not ready for prime time players. And, they were more explicit. They didn't curse and things like that. But they were known for having a different level of comedic, personality than, some of the regular people. So John Belushi, I definitely remember. And he was not that old. I think he was in his 30s. Let me see. Yeah, he was just 33. Yeah. Who else? Now, I don't know who Patrice O'Neal is. I don't know who that is. Maybe y'all know who that is. Chris Farley. Now, here's another one. I don't know if he committed suicide or he died from an overdose. Let me see. It doesn't say, but he died very suddenly. Yeah, I remember back in 1997, he was only 33. And we lost him really unexpectedly. So, again, I remember Chris Farley from TV. I don't remember him necessarily from stand-up. And like I said, a lot of these guys, they do stand-up. They started with stand-up. We got to check it from our girl, Tamika. Good morning, Tamika. Good morning, Tamika. Who's Terrace saying? John Candy. Yeah. I remember that. John Candy. Yeah. I remember John Candy. And he was a comedian. And he died very suddenly as well. Let's see. Charlie Murphy. Yeah, we love us some Charlie Murphy. Charlie Murphy had a lot of they call them like a B-reel roles. Like he was in the movie, but he didn't have like a dominant presence. But one thing about Charlie Murphy, you knew Charlie Murphy was on the scene. Yeah, he just stuck out like a sore thumb. And he had his 1, 2, 3 liners at times. But yeah. He didn't have any major roles. I think the largest role I can remember him having in a movie, on a TV show, was on, what's his name? What's it? Power. When Ghost was in jail. Yeah. But he played in a lot of movies. He had a lot of movie credits, especially Spike Lee. Spike Lee used him a lot. He was in, what's that? The girl where the girl shakes her butt. What's that thing? The Players Club. Yeah. So he had his moments. He died at 57. Yeah. And he had leukemia. Yes. Sam Kinison. I remember Sam Kinison. He had that crazy voice, kind of heavy-set white guy. He died at 38 in a car crash. Yeah, back in 1992. I didn't realize it had been so long ago. Wow. Yeah. So again, these are comedians who they say left us way too soon. There's a Mitch Hedberg. I don't know him. Why is Red Fox on this list? Come on. Red Fox died when he was 68 years old. Back in 1991 of a heart attack. Remember? He was the one where he was on the set with his cast. He had a show. He started a show with Della Reese, and I believe Lorenz Tate was in that was in that show, and he died right on the set. Yeah, had a heart attack right there. I believe that was his story. I think that was his ending. Alrighty. All right, let's see who else we talking about here. Come on, y'all. Red Fox ain't got no business on here. Talking about left too soon. Red Fox did a lot of work before he was out of here. Phil Hartman. I remember Phil Hartman. He died at the age of 49. Yeah, he was killed. Was he the one that was killed by his girlfriend? One of these comedians, or white comedians, was killed by the girlfriend, but I don't know if it was Chris Farley. Yeah, I think he may have been the one. But he was 49 years old, 50 years old. And I think when they died tragically or suddenly, we can always like what? But come on, Red Fox, y'all, I'm still going back to that one. Come on, keep up with the conversation. Terrence says he liked Patrice O'Neal. He was funny. I never heard of him. That's a new one too. That's a new one for me. Freddie Prinze. Now, Chico and the Man. Half of y'all on this show that are watching this definitely don't know what I'm talking about, but it was a show back in the 70s about an older man, and I think he was a mechanic or something, or Freddie Prinze played the mechanic. Now, Freddie Prinze Jr. Yes. Didn't he play in I Know What You Did Last Summer? Yes. Well, that's his son, this guy who they're talking about. Now, he died at 22 years old. He was a baby. Yeah, now he was a baby. Now, I think he committed suicide. If I could remember correctly. Yeah, that was back in 1977, and it was sudden. It was definitely sudden. Greg Giraldo. I don't know who he is, but he died from an overdose at the age of 44. Gilda Radner. Now, Gilda Radner, most of y'all will not know either. She was another one who used to be on Saturday Night Live with John Belushi, who I mentioned earlier. And she was, one of the not ready for primetime plays. She was funny. She died of cancer at the age of 42. I remember when she passed away. She was funny. Joan Rivers. Why, y'all? I ain't even looking yet. What was Joan? 103? How old is she? 81. They don't belong on here. Isn't this like died too soon? Come on, y'all. Joan Rivers, I didn't realize Joan Rivers did stand up. I remember her acting in maybe I remember her from stand up and didn't realize I remembered her from stand up. But she died in 2014 during surgery. And if I could remember correctly, I may have this wrong, but she passed away when she was having cosmetic surgery. I could have that wrong, but for some reason, that's what's sticking out to me. Let's see, we got Anika, who's like, I remember Gilda Radner. She was funny. And Patrice O'Neal. I don't remember. That must be a younger thing, because I surely don't remember this Patrice O'Neal. I do remember Gilda Radner, though. She was funny. Oh, come on. Joan Rivers ain't got no business on this, and she died at 81. I'm sorry. Okay. Robert Schimmel. Now, I remember his face. I don't remember his name, but he died in 2010. at the age of 60 in a car accident. Gary Shandling. Now I remember the Gary Shandling show. Do you remember that? He used to, I think he used to do like a late night show. Yeah. And I forgot he was a comedian. Wow. Well, he died in 2016 from a heart attack, and he was 66 years old. Who mentioned John Candy? That was Terrence. Well, John Candy is on this list, Terrence. He died of a heart attack in 1994, and he was at the tender age of 43. Yes. I remember he died suddenly. I remember. Gallagher. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't remember who that is. I remember the face vaguely, but I don't remember him much at all. Well, he died of organ failure at 76. Okay, so let's talk here. Let's talk about it Friday. For Stephanie, when you die of anything from 70 on, I think you didn't live your life. Yeah. Now, people are living a little longer, so I'm not saying that you should die, so please don't misunderstand me. But like these people who are on this list and they say died too soon, do you realize that biblically we have a cap on our age? Yeah. Yep. Is it three scores and 10? I'm trying to remember. Yeah. We're not supposed to live like the people in the biblical times. Methuselah, Noah, all these people who lived to like 199 and 203. Yeah, we don't live like that. And because of their sinfulness, God capped our age. So some people live to a real golden year. Both my grandmothers lived into their 90s. I had a grandmother who passed away at 92, and a grandmother passed away at 94. And, that's like extra special. Yeah, so when you say somebody like died too soon at 76, I'm like, my mother passed away at 78. Would I have loved for her to be here longer? Absolutely. But my mother lived. And I'm like, this is not too soon. But we're coming back to that, Shanti's. Make sure you got that down. So when I ask you, you'll have that information. Richard Jenny. Now, I hope I'm saying his name right because I don't really remember him. He died at the age of 46 years old. Who else? George Carlin. I remember George Carlin. Wow. Now, George Carlin died from heart failure at 71. So, I'm sure George Carlin didn't say a lot when he was here. I loved him. Gilbert Gottfried. Remember him? Yeah. He's another one who had like a really weird way of speaking. He used to squinch up his eyes. Yeah, I remember him. He died from, I didn't know he died from muscular dystrophy. Wow. That's like one of them old school, I don't want to say disease, illnesses. That's what I want to say. Yeah, he died at 67. I didn't know he had muscular dystrophy. He sure didn't act like he had muscular dystrophy. Yeah. Wow. Let's see. We've got okay. Anika says, yes, it's 70, which is 70 years. So anything after that is definitely a blessing. All righty. John Witherspoon. I'm mad, y'all. Do you know how much work John Witherspoon did? Come on, y'all. You can't make no list talking about died too soon. No. John Witherspoon, would we have liked to see him hang around a little bit longer? Absolutely. But at 77, come on. He didn't die too soon. I don't know who makes these lists up. I don't know who makes these lists up. Y'all must be smoking drugs. Anika says, yes, Gilbert Godfrey was one that used to squint his eyes when he talked, all high pitched. Yes, I liked him. And Tamika says, I could only take Gilbert Godfrey in small increments. His voice got on my nerves. It was a lot to tolerate, Tamika. I definitely agree with you with that one. But hey, you know, that was his stick. John Witherspoon, y'all take him off this list. Paul Mooney, no. Paul Mooney died at 79. Y'all need to stop it. Stop. Paul Mooney was around for a long time, and he was one of those activist comedians. Yeah, always gave you some thought-provoking thing. I didn't think he was very funny. I didn't like it much. Oh my goodness. Serge says, the list is made for the new generation who didn't get to see them in their prime. I think you're right, Serge, because they like a little off here. Yeah, yeah. Anika says, I agree with you, Tamika. Let me just look on this list before we go. Robin Harris. Now, Robin Harris died at 36. He had a heart attack. And if anybody was on this list, I could say, yeah, he was only 36 years old. So, yeah, I remember Robin Harris passing away. Reginald Carroll, I don't remember him. They say his life was tragically cut short in 2025. Oh, that's the guy they just said, like last week he passed away. Yeah, he was one on the short circuit. Y'all are not Rodney Dangerfield, y'all. No, he died at 82. I'm sorry. He had surgical complications. No. Bob Saget. He was 65. I forgot. The other day I saw a picture of Bob Saget, and I kept saying, is he dead? I don't know why I remember he died. Yeah, he died. So that's my answer. He died. So Bob Saget is on this list. So I don't know if this was a real good list. I ain't really hear a whole lot of people's names should have been on this list. There were a few that, died young. Because like I said, we're coming back to, did anybody die too soon? All right, y'all. Let's see what the news says. I already warned you. I told you I do not have some real news, wow news. Like Viv has her wow stories. I don't know. It's kind of, I grabbed a couple of things that I thought was interesting, but y'all gonna have to excuse this blue stupid stuff on the side. Yeah, it won't go away. And we didn't want to start really late because a lot of mornings we end up with these stupid technical difficulties and we can't get rid of them. But y'all gonna have to see Pastor Steph with this stupid blue thing, so just ignore it and pay attention to the conversation today. All righty. Let's see what Serge says. Serge says the list should have been called Who Passed Away Without Notice. Better title, Serge. I agree. All righty. What are we talking about today? Well, today is our Celebrity News Day. So let's see what we got in celebrity news. All right. Well, last week we talked about Cardi B and this lawsuit she was facing by the security guard who tried to, film her while she was at her doctor's visit when she was pregnant, 4 months pregnant. And she won. Yeah, she won. She does. And I didn't realize that this security guard was after $24 million. Yeah, come on. See, already you messed up. See, had I known this last week, I'd have been like, yo, you messed up. You ain't getting no money. Excuse me. So they had one witness, which was a doctor. And we don't know if this is true or not, but we know he's looking out for his client because he wanted that client to come back. But he said that he never saw Cardi B hit her, which is with the security guard, which was an argument. They both agreed on the fact that there was a verbal altercation, but when the security guard said that Cardi B hit her, Cardi B said, I never hit her. I was pregnant. She was much bigger than me. That's not something I would have done. And the judge or jury believed her. So she doesn't have to worry about it. She doesn't have to worry about it. She officially won. All righty. Let's see. Terrence said, it's flashy. Keep it. It's a good thing. All right, Terrence. All right. You like the blue going on in the background. And he says, we all knew it was about that money. And I know it was about that money, Terrence, but 24 million, stop it. Because the worst case scenario was she said that Cardi B slashed her, like left a cut in her face from her nails. And I'm like, okay, so $24 million though? Yeah, I don't think that was on the table. Yes, Shanti says, that security guard tried it. 24 million, yes. See, that's why you lost. That's why you lost. Because now you're trying to be greedy. You ain't going for, 500,000, 100,000. You going for 20, and you didn't get sick or infected from the cut. Stop. Oh, Shanti says trying to be able to quit her job by suing Cardi B. You got that right, Shanti. She was like, I ain't never gonna work again because Cardi B sliced me in my face. So she won, y'all. She won. Let's see what else we're talking about in our celebrity news today. Oh, let's see. Wait, my device is not behaving. Montel Jordan is who we're talking about today. He is revealing that his prostate cancer has returned. Well, I got to tell you, I didn't even know that he had prostate cancer at all. Yeah, this was news to Pastor Steph. So what else was news to Pastor Steph is I knew Montel Jordan, they said, had kind of given his life to the Lord, but I didn't know Montel Jordan was a pastor. Wow, that was news to me as well. He's telling the story now that his prostate cancer did come back. It has returned. Now, the thing about this is he went through treatment as well as a full surgery to supposedly remove this cancer. And from what they said, the cancer was only at stage 1. So they, that when how you have to go for follow-up afterwards, or periodically, not that just that immediate, but they monitor you to see if any of the cancer has returned or whatever. And they said that when he went for the follow-up after the treatments, he went for the follow-up visits, and after a while, they said there is still cancer. So from the way they're saying is that they didn't get it all. So, he says he's going to keep on doing what he's doing. He's joined a nonprofit organization called Zero Prostate Cancer, and it raises awareness for Black men to get their screenings done. And, while we're on the subject, yesterday I actually went to the doctor and they were asking me at 58, have I had my colonoscopy? Because people think it's just for men. No, it's for women as well. Well, I have some intestinal issues, so they are concerned about like laparoscopically going to go in there. Recommend like a Cologuard That's when you provide like a sample of your stool, and they check for like blood and other kinds of things. And it's important, now that we're talking about this is important, especially men. They don't like that invasive procedure, and it's understandable. But listen, if it'll save your life, it's important that you get it. So make sure, men, women, you go and you get your proper screenings. As we get older, they want to make sure that we're okay. So put that pride on the side, man. Women aren't so, you know, but men, they are. And listen, I know the colonoscopy, you're out. When you wake up, it's done. The prostate exam is a little bit different. And, so it takes a lot more to get that done. But again, here it is. He had treatment and surgery, and still at stage 1, and they still did not get it all, possibly, because when it says you still have cancer, and I think it's only been like a year since the surgery. Yeah, it hasn't been that long. All right, so let's make sure we take care of our bodies, everybody. All right, what we talking about in the news? I don't have a due time crew yet, so let's keep on talking. All right. Let's see. Now, yeah, let's check this out. Amazon, they're on their Netflix thing. Yeah. So I didn't realize. Oh, Ainsley's here. Okay. I didn't realize that they have some program that they already had in. There's a plan, and it's some membership subscription program that allows like a share in some shipping benefits. Never heard of it before. Been a part of Amazon since like 2006. I never heard of this before. But if you are a part of that plan, they are cracking down. They're like, well, you need to be in the same household, or we're only going to give you like a teen and one more person. Yeah. So if that's a part of what you're doing and you don't have like a regular Prime membership, because they're not saying they're touching the Prime membership, the regular one. They're talking about some Prime membership subscription program for shipping benefits. I don't know what that is. So check it out. Check it out and make sure that you're not the one who falls in that category, because now they're saying you need to have your own subscription. That's why I said they're on their Netflix thing. Listen, y'all are charging over like $100 and something. Like I think they're like $100, and they said if you want to do it now, it's $139. And you nickel and diming somebody over who's shipping what? Go away. Go away. Go away. Officially go away. Yeah, I don't know, y'all, but that's whack. I'm sorry. What else are we talking about? Oh, this is the one I want to talk about, and then I'm going to my man. So we all know that once, what's his name? Mayor Eric Adams here in New York, there was this issue of once he got, what's his name? Trump was involved with him, like getting that charge pushed away, remember? Well, boy, talk about something up your sleeve. So he helped Mayor Eric Adams, and everybody was like, oh yeah, he's going to have Eric Adams in his pocket now. There's going to be this loyalty to him, blah, 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 blah. Well, they just stepped the game up, because as Vivian talked about last week, we know that there is this mayoral race here in New York City with Mom Donnie, Andrew Cuomo, Curtis Sliwa, as well as well, this is just driving me crazy here, as well as Eric Adams. So Trump is offering that if Eric Adams takes a job in the Trump administration at the White House, if he drops out of the mayoral race, that's what he'll offer him. That's what he can have. Do you know why? Because he wants Andrew Cuomo to beat Mom Don. Am I saying his name right? Let me make sure I'm saying his name right instead of mutilating this man's name. Well, let me look. While I'm looking, I'm going to talk. Yes. So he's like, if you, Mom Donnie, I had it right. Mom Donnie, yeah. If you drop out of the race, I have a position for you in the administration out here in the White House. Because he wants Andrew Cuomo and Mom Donnie to be up against one another in hopes that Mom Donnie does not win against Cuomo. He's even offering for, what's his name? Curtis Sliwa. He's even offering him. He's trying to find out some type of job for him if he drops out. Well, listen, Curtis Sliwa ain't winning. That ain't happening. Ain't nobody voting for the, guardian angel. They're not voting like that. But definitely Mom Donnie is a threat. And they are like, yo, get Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa up out of here so it can go down to these last two, because as Republicans, he wants him to win. Because they're old school friends. Yeah, from being New Yorkers. Remember, Andrew Cuomo's father was in the government for a while. For a couple of decades, he was there. So it's well known. So, Andrew Cuomo kind of slid up in there when his dad finished. So now, what you think about that? Where is my brother Ainsley? Let's get to talking. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Pastor Steph. Good morning. Good morning.
How are you, brother Ainsley?
I'm doing all right. Thank God. Doing all right.
Good.
Friday morning.
Good.
I'm up.
All righty.
My eyes.
Thank God. Thank God that you're up. I wanted to talk about a couple of things.
All right, let's hit it. Let's go. Let's go with it.
Before we get to our main topic, which I don't know what that's going to be, but there's an article that surfaced that Montel Jordan is facing prostate cancer again. So he had full surgery and treatment, and now they're saying after he got his follow-ups that the cancer is there, and he's now joined a nonprofit that is encouraging Black men to make sure you get your prostate checked and go for those exams, so forth and so on. And I wanted to talk to you men this morning to be a little personal and find out, because all of you are in that age where you really need to make sure you get these things checked out. And you know what? Let's help our viewers and their families and their loved ones today, talking about this for a little bit. So, are you current with your test, your colonoscopy, your prostate exam? What's going on with brother Ainsley? Are you on it?
Huh? What was that? You
please don't tell me no. Please don't tell me no.
Well, generally for my general exam, I had a good physical not too long ago, and actually was pretty good. except now I
Okay.
have to do, the whole colonoscopy because, I admit I was, hesitant on doing that because I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Be honest, I
Okay.
really didn't.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
um, so the doctor he said, well, with the colonoscopy, they have the the home the Cologuard, right? It's called the
The
Cologuard.
Cologuard. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So I've had the Cologuard, and I said I'll do that. But I
Okay.
have been yet to do it. Now I had the Col. I admit I've had it for about a couple of months, and I was like, all right, I'm going
Okay.
to do it. I said I'm going to do it. All right, today's going to be the day. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Yeah, I still haven't done it yet. So, but I'm going to do it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Well,
going to do
listen,
it.
listen, Ainsley. I've had a colonoscopy. You're sleeping. You don't know anything. Is different
Yeah,
than the prostate exam, because the prostate exam you're awake from what I understand, but the
right.
colonoscopy you are literally out. They say, oh, when you get the colonoscopy you kind of woozy. No, you're not. You are out. So when when you wake up, it's already they've already done everything. You don't feel like they've done anything. There's no uncomfortability afterwards.
Right, I
So
understand.
so it's like I said, the prostate I can't necessarily speak about because I understand that's I think you're awake when you have that one, but
Yeah,
definitely your colonoscopy is
yeah.
is
I
is
took
definitely pain free.
yeah, not too long ago. I had to take my mother for the colonoscopy, and first, you had to do like a little the pre surgery, thing, and stuff
Okay.
like that. I know then the night before you gotta can't eat, and then you gotta take this stuff, drink this,
Right.
whatever. And so I'm kind of familiar, and dropped that morning. I seen the whole process with my own
Okay.
eyes.
And
So I'm like, okay, this was all about. There was no residual, just just normal, pretty much resume normal activity. So
yeah. Yeah.
and so I was like, oh, okay, Um, first I said, okay, I'll do the Cooler Guard. All right. So like I said, I have it. I have. So I really plan on doing it. I'm going to do it. Um, and actually, so my doctor, I'm in Atlanta. So my doctor's in New York. So I got it in New York. I took it back with me to Atlanta. And I said, no, I'm going to do it in New York. I took it back to New York.
Oh my goodness.
Then I came to Atlanta and left in New York. Now I went back to New York. I said, I'll do it there. And I still didn't do it. So,
Oh my goodness.
so next time, actually, it's in New York. So I'm going back to New York and back in a few days, and I'll do it. I'm going to do it then. And
Well,
then
I'm going to be
because you also
calling
have to
you.
do it when, um, for my defense, because when I start up there, I'm going to do it. This is the day I'm going to finally get this over with. My stomach wasn't cooperating. It was like
Mm,
I had something that didn't agree with me, so I couldn't use it that particular day. You know,
okay.
you can't do it when your stool is a little on the looser side, so to speak.
Side. Okay. Right. Right. Right.
So
Because it's not going to have good results because clearly something is wrong. So that makes
right,
sense.
and
That
so
makes
and
sense.
not only that, I get the text every day. At first, it was like, come on, bring it. We're waiting. You don't want the thing to expire. So now the text is like, you want to do it or what?
Right. Right. They're expired. They got a whole new text for your butt. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, let's see if your brothers have been more obedient to the process. Let's talk to our brother Al. I'm surprised he's on today. Hey, brother
For,
Al, I'm
for
surprised to
real.
see you today. School just started.
I know. Unfortunately, I had to take off today. I had to coming home yesterday, and my radiator busted in the car, and I barely made it home.
Oh,
So I got.
wow.
I,
Okay.
I left it at the guy.
Wow.
It's gonna be ready about a little bit this afternoon. So I called him, say, hey, listen, I looked at trying to get out the Queens from here. I was like, oh no, sir. No, sir.
Okay. So, Brother Al, we're talking about Montel Jordan, who, let me see how old Montel is. Let me see how old he is. I think he's 56. Is he 56? I don't know why I'm remembering that age, but he's in his 50s nonetheless. And he just got treated for prostate cancer. He had the full surgery. He had treatment afterwards, only to find out, I think it's been a year, that they say he has the cancer. And so now he's joined this nonprofit organization to help, Black men, push that, for this treatment. He is 56 years old.
Yeah.
And the name of the organization is Zero Prostate Cancer. That's the name of the nonprofit organization. So I said, maybe we can help our viewers and their family and loved ones this morning. Are you current on your colonoscopy, on your prostate exam? Are you current, Brother Al?
Absolutely.
I know. I said, if anybody is, Al is. Okay.
You go, bro. Represent, man. Go ahead.
What happened is, and I got to get Brother Ainsley number 2 to invite him on my men's line that I do every Tuesday. And I'm a big advocate for men going to the doctor. For some reason, men do not like going to the doctor. And I tell you, Pastor Steph, if I go to bed and dream something is wrong, I wake up in the morning making a
Okay. I can feel that.
And we actually have a man. We actually have just real quick. We have a gentleman that comes on our line. He lives down in Virginia, and I met him a long time ago. And he came on the line, and we had our meeting. And he was like, "Man, I'm feeling different." I said, "Brother," I said, "Go to the doctor." I said, "Just go." The most the doctor could do is say, "Hey, ain't nothing wrong" or whatever. And he decided to wait. And that Friday, he had a stroke.
Wow.
And so he called me. He was like, "Man, I wish I would have listened to you." He was so down on himself. I said, "Don't be down on yourself." But I'm a big advocate for men going to the doctor. And I think with the prostate, like I said, Brother Ainsley, the colonoscopy is not bad. It's really not. Like Pastor Steph said, you go to sleep. So you don't feel nothing, you don't hear nothing, nothing. But, I think I always said, all this technology they got, and they don't have no different way to do this prostate thing.
Right.
and that's one of the biggest things that hold men back is the way they do it. Because, hey, they tell us to pull our pants down and bend over, and we sitting there. Right. That is the most uncomfortable thing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So how I got through it was I just made jokes. Even though I just joked the whole time. The doctor came in. I told him to be gentle, and before he got me to do a Pastor Steph, I said, so after he finished, I was sitting there. I pulled the covers up. I said, so you ain't gonna give me no flowers, no nothing.
You're stupid.
So right in, no nothing. Just treat me this way. So I joked my way out of it. But honestly, it's the most uncomfortable situation on the planet. So that's what discourages a lot of men. When I talk about it, that's the first thing every man say. Man, I don't feel like doing it again. So I try to come up with it. I say, well, would you feel different if a woman do it? If you get a woman done?
Oh my gosh.
It gotta be done.
Oh my gosh.
So I try to make people feel, what will make you feel? Nothing is really gonna make you that comfortable. How would you feel if a woman do it? Her fingers are a little smaller,
Oh my Lord, have mercy.
I'm trying to get these men to do it because
however, I know several men with prostate cancer or who have had it. And one of the things is that resistance to getting checked out. And then after a while, you're diagnosed. What are you going to do?
Right.
You know, prevention is the best medicine.
Yes.
So
True that.
you know,
So Ainley, man up, Ainley, man up, Ainley.
well,
But you know
listen,
what? I actually did have the prostate done checked once. It's just a colonoscopy. I haven't done.
Okay. Well, if you got the prostate, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know. But even with the prostate, yeah, you're right, man. You felt like.
Did he give you flowers?
No, he just left me out there. He just.
So what you got to do is go to the doctor and request an Asian doctor.
I was just getting to say yes.
That's the first thing you say
yes.
Your hands. Now the doctor coming in, he goes,
oh God.
Leave him be. Don't go. No sir, brother. I see your hand. No sir. You can call my basketball. I ain't trying to see you.
Oh my goodness gracious. Let's see what Pastor Jeff has to say. Where's Pastor Jeff at? Yeah, Pastor Jeff got some interesting. I lay my life down. Good morning, Pastor Jeff.
I'm pretty sure he does.
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing?
All right, Pastor Jeff.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. All right, Pastor Jeff.
Good too.
All right, Pastor Jeff. How are you helping our men and their loved ones today by telling them, I got this done? Are you current with your colonoscopy, with your prostate exam? Because all of you guys are up in that age range where they're pushing to make sure you're current.
I first of all, I want to check out of that age range club. You know,
forget it.
I don't know how old y'all are, but you know, me being in my 20s, you know. But I'm an advocate for that. I'm up to date on all of that. I've been getting my prostate checked since my 30s, and that's because I watched my grandfather battle prostate cancer, you know, and go through that surgery way back in the day, and then get it again. So I've been on mine, you know, and then as far as the colonoscopy, I've been on mine too, because back in California years ago in my 30s, one of my ministers died of colon cancer. And I watched him, and I was like, man, you know, I went to the doctor and I, you know, tried to act like it was in my family. Colon cancer in my family, you know, and made him give me a colonoscopy in my 30s, you know, latter 30s though. And then after that, I, you know, every 7 years, or I think every 10 years I've gotten it. And I recently got it maybe 2 years ago, but every year I get my blood checked and let them check for the blood with the prostate. And I let the I bent over a couple of times, you know, but I didn't really appreciate it because my doctor does have fat fingers, and he's real old looking and disgusted looking. But in California, I had a girl doing it, you know, so you know, and you know, I didn't really mind, you know.
Oh my gosh! I told you, leave it to Jeff. I told you, leave it to Pastor Jeff.
When I came back to New York, the first one I had, you know, when I bent over, it was an Indian girl, but she had to let this white girl stay in the room. And that was humiliating, because I got this white girl standing there watching me bend over, and then I got this Indian girl sticking up, you know, finger in my back. So I felt a little humiliated by that, you know.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So that was for her protection and your protection, so nobody could come later and say, hey, something took place and nobody was there to verify. Because I would say maybe within the last 13, 14, maybe even 15 years, that's the way it's been for women. You know, years ago, it was just men, regardless of what you were getting done. It was a dentist or whatever it is, and they stopped that because so many things were happening, and now
they were giggling too much. They were giggling too much, and
gosh,
I really did feel humiliated. You know,
I'm sure
that Jamaica hospital, you know, is almost every time I go, they give me these little young trainees or whatever, and they always giggling and flirting, and there ain't no time to flirt, you know.
Well, we're grateful. We're grateful that, you know, at least two of you. Let's see what goes on with Pastor KL, because this is really important. This is really important.
One more statement I wanted to make. The last
Should we hold our breath?
Can you hear me? Oh,
yeah, bro.
The last colonoscopy I had was at Jamaica Hospital, and they had these two beautiful nurses in there helping them, right? And you know how I'm asleep, but I wake up, and then the woman said, "Oh, you're a pastor? Where's your church at? I want to come." And I was like, "I don't want you to come. You don't see me, all that nastiness, and you think I want you sitting up in my church?"
That's the word. Look out in the congregation.
I told her.
Yeah, and she'll be telling everybody in the church what you're really like.
Yeah, I didn't want her to come because I was embarrassed with them being in the room.
I can see him now.
Understandable. I can understand that, Pastor Jeff. You don't want everybody telling your business. You preaching and she knowing all about your insides.
And that's
I can understand.
I can imagine what she saw.
Oh my goodness. You have the room cracking up, Pastor Jeff.
I can see it right now.
They are laughing.
I can see it right now. Hey, did you know I had your pastor bend over?
Yeah. With a microscope all up in his background.
Any of y'all. Okay,
yeah,
I know you better than any one of y'all. Oh my goodness. Where's Pastor KL? Let's see what he has to say. Hopefully we got 3 out of the 4 who can help these men realize that it's because we have a couple of younger men on this, on as our faithful viewers. So if they've had, any reservation, we want to definitely be able to encourage them to take care of their business. Good morning, Pastor KL.
Good morning, fellas. How you doing?
How are you?
Good morning.
I'm well. How about you?
Good morning,
say
bro.
Good morning, and you say good morning, fellas.
I'm sorry. Good morning, lady.
Just turn his mic off.
Oh man, what a do, crew? And you?
My goodness.
What it do?
What do, crew? And you?
Okay, shut up. To answer the question. So, are you current? We are y'all going to be an advocate, or are you going to be an advocate like Montel Jordan, who is on the road to convincing Black men to take care of this level of business?
Well, okay. I am current, but I didn't bend over and cough. I did the cola guard. That's what I did. I got an Italian doctor with big knuckles, and he gave me the option. I looked at his hands and I was like, no, we're not doing that. And then he said, he also has a Oriental or Asian who's his I guess his sidekick. And he's like, well, she can do it. And I was like, no, that's not gonna work either. I mean, when you go get your feet and nails done, they talk about you. Could you imagine the conversation they're gonna have with that? You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness!
You bent over and she's like, big hole, no tight, big hole.
No,
you know what I mean? And look, you can't come to my church.
Oh my gosh, man!
You come to my church and now you done played in my booty and you want the right hand of fellowship. What? No, you already got the right hand. No, we're not doing that.
He's turning his mic off. Oh my gosh! Why? Oh my God, why? You know what? How Miss Charlene says good morning, and you on here talking about all of this nonsense here. Miss Charlene, forgive him. He know not what he does. Oh my Lord, have mercy. Well, listen. Hopefully, we have two younger men on here that view this this program, this broadcast on a regular basis. So, Serge and Terrence, my prayer is that you have taken care of your business. If not, you are doing so. So, Brother Ainsley is the only one who's has not. But now with all of his brothers on here saying they've finished there and they've completed this process, maybe that'll encourage him to get that taken care of. So thank you,
Brother
man.
Easy, go and do that. Go do that color guard. I mean, it's easy. I mean, it's something you do anyway. You don't go to the bathroom anyway.
I have it. So
yeah,
I'm
man.
going to
Listen,
New York a couple of weeks.
You are not allowed to talk anymore about this topic. You be quiet. You have been banned. All right. I don't even know what I want to talk about now. You didn't mess me up so bad. KL. Let's see. What we Oh Lord have mercy. All right. Oh, now check this out. So I never really realized that the Emmett Till issue, and experience included a gun. Well, they have this gun now that's being displayed in a museum, and it's been 70 years since this has taken place. And this is something that mom, I think didn't she pass away?
Yeah.
Passed away. Yeah, I thought so. And
a few years ago.
Yeah, I thought so. Well, now they're putting it up in this museum. The people who had it, I don't know how it got into their possession, because this is the gun that was supposed to be used when they went to take Emmett Till out of the uncle's house. This guy, one of the guys, had this particular gun. How it got to these people here, I don't know, but they claim that they've had it and that they now want to, they gave it to a person who put it in the museum. And my question to you guys, 45 caliber pistol and its holster is now in the museum for the 70th anniversary of Emmett Till's murder. Now, is that something that needs to be on display? Should it be on display? Does it make a statement? Is it something that people should see? Because if you remember, when he was in the coffin, the mom made them leave the coffin open so that the public could see exactly what they had done to her son. So is this kind of symbolic in some way? What's your thought, Brother Al?
Yeah, they should display it. Everything. I mean, the way they abused this young man. I mean, what they did to this young man. I don't think people realize what they did to this young man. And yes, they should have, if they could find the wire, everything. This is what they used to humiliate this young man's body. And and so people can see, like, this is real. This is what they did. So this is how they treated you when they felt you were disrespectful to a white man or a white woman. These are the things they did to you. So I think, yes, they should have it on display as well.
Okay. I'm going to leave it there for the first round. Should they have it on display, Brother Ainsley?
Yeah, it should have been on display from the very get-go. By it not being there now coming up, it made me question. It makes me wonder, okay, why wasn't it there in the first place? Where was it at? It seems like more of a cover-up why it wasn't there in the first place. To me, it just conjures up. Here is more of, here we go again. Some evidence that was probably left out, or maybe it didn't matter, yada yada yada. Everything pertaining to this case should have been secured and and stored away. So to me, it's more of that old buddy system. Just maybe somebody has like, oh yeah, this is our little personal trophy here. Yeah, this was used in the Emmett Till saga, so to speak. And now maybe somebody with a conscience that said, listen, now we don't want to. They don't want this in their personal possession. But this should have been in there a long time ago. I'm like, why was it? Why was not this pistol included in the whole trial evidence thing in the first place? If it was there, how did it get out? To me, it just brings up more questions about it. Who had it? To me, there's more implication. To me, it conjures up more investigation. Because to me, it's a shame that no real justice has happened on this case. So I'm like, whoever was hiding it is almost complicit with it. Is complicit with what's going on anyway. So it gets me going, man. I'm like, where is it at? Why? Just think of more questions. It ain't just matter. Oh, here you go. Oh, this should be included. Here you go. Oh, no. Oh, really? Okay.
Okay. I want to read this part. It says the gun was previously in the possession of a family in the Mississippi Delta who donated it on the condition of anonymity. And I'm like, wow. Like you said, I'm like, well, but before I go there, the gun was authenticated using the serial number which matched the one written in FBI reports on Till's murder. So that was my question, Ainsley. I'm like, well, I go from y'all got the serial number, which meant y'all had the gun, to now it being in somebody's possession. How did it get there? How did it move from one place to the next? And now it's left up to these people to now hand over the gun for it to under anonymity.
So the FBI had it. So
at one point, yeah.
So to me now, it gets even worse. It's not even on a state level. Now you're getting on the federal level, FBI, more stuff. Where you would think there should be more justice coming from the federal government coming in to ensure that justice it goes forth. It just brings more questionability. There's more reason why people, or particular people of color, have a disdain for the court system and the whole process. Because the stuff like this, exactly stuff like this.
All righty. All right, Pastor Jeff, should this gun be on display in this Mississippi Civil Rights Museum?
Yes, it should be, and anything that points to show how they treat us and how they did us, and how they did that little boy, should be on display. I'm sure Trump gonna try to stop it.
Okay. Pastor KL, should it be on display in the museum?
Yes, it definitely. It should be. It should have been on display a long time ago. I'm just I'm baffled by you said that someone has had it for so long, and now they just giving it up. I think they should be, fined, punished, or something. What you holding it for? Is it a souvenir for you? Was you part of it? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think something should be done with that person who's been keeping it so long.
All righty. Serge says that's fine if they display it. It covers up the fingerprints of the criminals. Well, they knew who it belonged to because they specifically said who had the gun. And again, the FBI was able to get their hands on it and get the serial number that they can now connect it to this particular gun and say, well, this is the gun. My question is, what does this symbolize? If it was Ainsley, had kind of touched on it, but what does it symbolize that if it's in this museum versus if it's not. You know, the some might say the murder took place, you know, a long time ago, and you know, we all know what happened, you know, to him, and you know, the story's been told. So what would be the big deal if it was not in the museum? Why would it need to be there? Brother Al, what does it symbolize, its existence in the museum?
It's like I said, for me, you know, it's showing these you know, especially these young kids, this what was used. This was one of the items that was used to take this you know, this young man's life, you know, the hatred and you know and disrespect that they have for us. This is what this symbolized, you know. And like Brother Angel and the brothers say, you know, I guess it came up now because they look at it, hey, it's 70 years later now, it's done over with, you know, it's not in court no more. But hey, I could just put it out there. And again, hiding fingerprints, because I'm quite sure there's fingerprints on it. But like you said, I think they looked at it, hey, it's 70 years later, so you know, ain't nobody gonna talk about, hey, let's just give it to them to put it in there. But I you know, it should do that.
Okay. Pastor Jeff, what's the symbol, you know, the symbolism in it being there? Yeah, you know, you feel you should be there, but so what? So what if it's there?
I mean, just like I said, the symbolism for it being there is just to show it's one of the, you know, one of the ways they kill us. One of the ways, you know, many ways that, you know, the prejudiceness, it shows all of that. To me, you know, this is a tool they used. You know, that's the symbolism.
Okay. Brother Ainsley, what say you? You kind of touched on it, but I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, to me, now going in, well, first of all, yeah, it should be there. But to me, it kind of represents the symbolism of just how our American justice system goes. All right. You would think by now there should have been full transparency and stuff like that. So to me, yeah, the gun should be there, and it should be a cliff note somewhere noted. This was just added in 2025, even though this thing happened back in 1955. So just to show you that in the 70 years since this happened, stuff was still has not been done properly, even in today, 2025. So if people today can see for themselves, justice is not equal, it's not blind, it's not due equal towards everybody and whatnot. So it represents what it represents. It represents that, you know, in 2025, we still got this stuff going on. It's still part of we're trying to do the undo the bad, so to speak. But it just happened in 2025, 70 years later. That's what it's a symbol. It's like, you know, this is our justice system. This is how we rolling.
Okay. And Pastor KL, what does this symbolize? It's put there now, 70 years later. Big deal.
Yeah, I mean, one might say big deal, but for some it can give closure because it wraps everything up. You know, it gives you the answers of, well, how did it happen? How did they get them there? You know, there was a gun. You know, there's a lot of pieces that are still missing. I'm sure that there's more evidence. I'm sure there just wasn't the gun. You know, there had to be other stuff. You know, is the ropes there? I mean, what else is missing? And then for the person who gave it up, is it now you give it up now 70 years later because the people who's done it is dead and you can't get them? So now I give up the gun now. It's not connected to nobody, or whoever's connected to is already in the grave.
That's probably it. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that man is long gone. You know, the one who they said the gun belonged to. He's been dead. So now all of a sudden this gun surfaces, and it's like, oh, okay, well, here under anonymity. Not in a million years would you turn this in now, and we gonna hold where it came from. You must have lost your ever-loving mind. All righty. Sir says also it's money on the line to get residual income from the museum. So I don't know. Maybe you're right, Serge. Maybe you're right. All right. We opened up today with a survey, or trivia, rather not survey, but trivia. And we talked about famous comedians who they say died too soon and left their fans heartbroken. And on this list, they have Richard Pryor, who died at 65. They have Bernie Mac, who died at 50. They've got Red Fox on this list, who died, let me see. He died at 68. They've got John Witherspoon on this list, who died in his 70s. They got Paul Mooney, well, what's her name? Joan Rivers, who died at 81. They've got, what's his name? George Carlin, who died at 71. Okay, so wait, Paul Mooney, who was 79. So there's a couple of things here. Number one, people say, you may even say, died too soon. As Christians, do we believe that terminology? Do we subscribe to the terminology of died too soon? And I'll start with you, Pastor Jeff.
I believe I subscribe to that terminology because the Bible does. It lets us know that, our lifestyle, certain things we can do can rush our exit from this earth. Like honoring your mother and father can prolong it, or give you some longevity. Well, read Proverbs, we can see, how we can shorten our life. So I subscribe to it, of course.
Okay. Brother Al, do you subscribe to die too soon?
No, I don't subscribe to it because I feel that, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. So no, I don't.
Okay. Bro, Pastor KL, we have, I gave you the older people on this list that they say died too soon. You have Freddie Prinze, who died in, I think he was 22. You remember he committed suicide. And they didn't have like babies, because to me that's a baby on this list. They had them more like a middle age type of thing, maybe some in their 30s. Charlie Murphy, 57, and taking that into consideration, do we say that these people died too soon as Christians? Do you subscribe to that?
No, not at all. I don't subscribe to it. I mean, while Jeff gave some good points, some good scriptures, when you look at it, it depends on how you live. You know what I mean? If you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So you're not gonna die too soon if that's how you live. You get what you give. You reap what you sow. You know what I mean? I wish that you be hot or cold. Lukewarm, I can't do anything with you. So if you live a certain life, you're gonna have longevity in life. But if you live a certain life, you're gonna be gone. Paul Mooney, y'all said he was like 70 years old. As unfunny as he was, he lived longer than he should have. Because he was horrible. Now Robert Harris, I think, saying his his comedic points was great. However, you don't know how these folks were living, behind or off stage. I hate, we hate, we feel the pain sometimes because we lost a loved one. But, there's a lot of folks wearing masks, and there's a lot of folks living any way they want to live. And God is not going to keep on dealing with that.
Okay. Brother Ainsley, what say you? Do we subscribe as Christians to, quote unquote, die too soon?
No, even though I understand what Pastor Jeff is saying, I agree with that, but that is true. I think that there's some points to be made with that. However, as a Christian, now I have a personal relationship with God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. My life is in His hand, and at whatever point in time that is my time to go, it's the time that He has mandated to go. I ain't trying to rush that time, so I can't say that it's too soon because it's in His hand. So I'm not gonna. Well, I'm gonna say too soon. That's just my thinking. His thinking is the best way. So, like Brother KL said, we us in a human nature form, we feel the loss of somebody and say we mourn for somebody. We wish they'd still be here, and we wish them they could still be here. So we say it's too soon because we want them here longer with us and whatnot. I get that sentiment, but to me as a Christian, the beautiful thing is, listen, life does not end on this side. Better life is on the other side. So too soon, it means no, it's time, it's better life on the other side. So I can't really say, I can't subscribe to, I understand the sentiment too soon, but my life is in His hands. And so if He says, when He says it's time, it's time. It ain't too soon, it ain't too late. It is what He say it is.
Okay. I'm gonna flip this. Okay. Thank you, Brother Ainsley. I'm gonna flip this to go to another belief from some Christian people. So you have, let's say, a person who says, I'm tired of living. Mainly like older people, they're like, I'm ready to go. I'm tired of living. And then some people would say, well, hey, they were tired of living, so God just took them. What do you feel about that? Does God just, we don't know the mind of God, but in your opinion, just because they tired of living, doesn't mean that God has answered that desire, because there are some people who really truly believe that. And I don't put a whole lot of stock into everyday people, but definitely God has me paying attention to what the Christians believe and feel. Brother Al, I'm gonna start with you.
No, I personally don't believe that. Again, I don't believe that as well, because again, now it's like when people say that, it sounds like you're dictating what for God to do. Okay, I'm tired of living. He gonna do that for me. It's everything is in God's time. I think when people, and I have heard people say that too, I'm tired of living. Which I think that when they say that, they just give up on life. They just give up. And you got some that may say, I'm tired of living. I'm gonna stop taking my medicine. I'm gonna stop doing this, and that could make your life, end soon. But I don't think that, well, I don't feel that, when they say that God grant that for you, and that's my take on that.
Okay. Brother Ainsley.
What's the question? Do you think
when people say, and a lot of older people have been known to say this, I'm tired. I wish, God would just let me go. And, they've expressed this, and family members, friends, they say, well, they didn't want to be here no more. So God, God answered that for them. Can we definitively say that just because they didn't want to live here anymore on this earth, I've been here long enough. I didn't see all I could see. I'm just tired. My body tired. I'm tired. I don't want to see no more of this. I don't want to go through this no more. And they check out, personally, people stand by and believe that God has, when they pass away, after they've made this statement, that God has granted their desire. Would you subscribe to that?
Yeah, at one point I probably wouldn't, but I do, because I know a particular situation. Good friends of mine from the church. Just briefly, so one of my right-hand people on my praise team, it's been about 4 years now. It was a couple. They active church, husband. They're very active, right? Really good people, right? My friend Tanya. Long story short, she unexpectedly died. Right? She unexpectedly died. I'm not going to the cause, but she unexpectedly died. It was a big thing because nobody expected her. She was getting ready to die at the same time as I was, right? And her husband, of course, he was very despondent. Everybody was really upset about it, right? And a few weeks after that, where he would post on Facebook, you tell he was very depressed and whatnot. Long story short, exactly 2 months later, he passed. Exactly 2 months, really short time, 2 months later. And my thing is, had you spent some time with him, you realize, to me, he had lost his will to live. To my opinion, he didn't really have it. He didn't really have that will to live. He was just that, to me, that despondent, that depressed, that mourning was that deep. I mean, it could have been a simple illness, but I mean that fight to live, I really don't think everybody kind of realized he really didn't have it. You got to want to be here to really be here and whatnot, and to be somewhat more pretty much healthy, and that's to happen just like that. I subscribe to it that he didn't have that will in him any longer, and this is something that I heard, or I witnessed. I'm right there with all of this. So having seen that and been through that, there is something to that. I understand younger people, older people say who've been sick for a long time, they've been going through, and they're tired of going through, being in pain and the whole illness, whatever it may be. They're just tired. It's like, okay, enough is enough. If it's not going to get any better, I'm ready to go to the other side. But having experienced this particular situation, I say, yeah, there's something to that. I mean, you can lose the fight, and that's what happened. So, yeah.
Okay. Pastor Jeff.
Yes.
Does God close that life down because a person is tired of living?
Look at Elijah. He got tired. God gave him a replacement, and he took him. And my grandmother, I remember when she was dying of cancer, and she was just like, she said to me, boy, just let me go. I want to go. She felt like our prayers and all of our care was keeping her here. And she's like, I'm ready to go. And, she went. And I've seen that many times, that God honored, people ready to go. So,
Okay. Pastor KL.
Well, first of all, from the story Ainsley started off with, I'm ready to go because I thought I was his right hand. You know what I mean? He talked about somebody else. So now I'm ready to go. I'm depressed. So I just wanted to state that just in case I'm not on Monday. In case I'm not on Monday, you know what I'm saying? You'll be facing the Monday blues. You know what I mean?
Oh my
This is my right
goodness
hand, man. It's
gracious.
all good. It's all good.
but
Oh my
you know,
goodness.
I hear the stories and I understand the stories, but when you're depressed and when you're going through all this stuff, you give up. You know, that's not God saying, okay, I'm just gonna come get you. There's stuff that you do. It's almost like a spiritual or non-spiritual suicide. If you so depressed you stop eating, you're gonna die. You stop drinking, you're gonna die. That's not God saying, okay, let me take you out your misery. That's you killing yourself. If you're going through big things, you're slowly killing you. Now we understand the depression. You lost your wife, you lost this person, you lost. But when you give up, God is not going to say, "Okay, well, you already gave up. Come on, let me take you away from here. You already given up. I can't use you no more. Let me take you away from it." God can still use you in your brokenness. So why would He take you when you're broken?
Wow. As always, the men have given us food for thought, and I'm gonna, close down on a happier note. There's a list of comedians here that they say left here too soon. Is there someone on this list, and I'm not going to say they left too soon, but you would like to have seen stay longer? Let's put it like that. I could still use me some so-and-so to make me laugh. Brother Al.
Man, this is so many of them. I would say man, Red Fox and Harris. There's so many of them, but I thought they was really, all of them was funny, but Red Fox used to have me cracking up in San Francisco. Just the things he would say, and not using cursing. I mean, he did with his album, but on TV, he did things, and it was no cursing, no nothing, just have you laughing.
Okay. Pastor Jeff, who could you use some laughs from right now who's no longer here?
Bernie Mac. That's the man right there. I sat next to him in a house of pancakes in Hollywood one day, and he was just sitting at the table cracking jokes the whole time. That dude is funny. That's the man.
Okay. Okay. All righty. Pastor KM, who could you still use a laugh from?
Listen, I'm still seeing baby kids. Baby kids has been personified. Robin Harris did that thing with baby kids. Man, we had some baby kids. We got some baby kids, grandchildren. There are baby man. Listen, Robin Harris did his thing. We didn't know what baby kids was until he gave the definition and then instruction. But there's some baby kids out here.
Okay. And Brother Ainsley, who could you still take a laugh from?
I gotta go with Bernie. Bernie is my favorite. Bernie is my favorite dude, man. I mean, his show, even his show to me was like the best thing on TV. And him, and believe it or not, also, because he was very insightful. You said George, what's his name? George Carlin. Him, he's very insightful. I like those kind of they can make you laugh, but there's some insightful stuff. Even stuff he has said like many years ago, you see today is so true. Those two. But I love me some Bernie, man. Bernie is the man.
All righty. Thank you, gentlemen, for sending us into a thought-provoking weekend. And we thank you for your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a blessed weekend.
All right, everybody, take care.
You do the same. Ainsley, get up and get to the doctor. Man up and get to the doctor, Ainsley.
Yeah, I'm going to do it, man. 2 weeks. I'm coming.
He ain't even got to get to the doctor. Just take the Cologuard.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. That's what I got to do. Yeah.
Yes. He ain't even got to get to the doctor. All right.
You are going to the bathroom tonight. You don't go to the bathroom today. Just do it. Just do it.
Right off. Let me turn him off. Turn him away. Turning him off now.
It's in New York,
him
man.
off.
That thing is in New York. So,
all righty. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. Oh, you got to be quick on the draw turning off Pastor KL's microphone because he is straight off the chain. We talked about some thought-provoking things today. And one, let's go with our health. You know, the statistics are very high for men and their prostate cancer. And we definitely want to, get them moving into the direction of the doctor's office to get that done. I'm sure it is an extremely uncomfortable process, and especially for men. Women don't think about it the same way that men do. But you know what? At the end of the day, it'll be a whole lot more evasive in a different way if your health is put on the back burner and you do not take the necessary steps to get it done. There's a woman I know who she said she was studying and she was going to school, older, in her 50s, and she was trying to, pursue this schooling thing. She wants to get her degree, so forth and so on. And as she was studying, working toward this degree, she noticed things were going on with her body, but she ignored it. I'm gonna get this done as soon as I finish this semester. So as promised, she did go right after the semester was finished, only to find out that she had stage 4 colon cancer. The degree took precedence. You saw signs, but the degree took precedence. Whatever it is that takes precedence over your health, that needs to be put on the back burner. God is a real gracious God. And as with many things in our lives, he'll show us something's off. Even if it's not drastic, he'll show us that something is off. And he'll do that so that we can be on the alert and pay attention. That he does not want anyone to perish is not only in this, whether you go to hell or whether you enter into the kingdom. Again, it's current. It's the current life that God is also concerned about. It's doctors and medical professionals that help us with this journey, they're here for a reason. So we want to make sure that we show God some appreciation and pay attention to, the things that it's just time for us to do. You know what I'm saying? As we get older, despite the fact that Pastor Jeff is in his 20s, as we get older, we have to pay attention to the fact that our bodies are shifting. They say after 40, you go downhill. Well, baby, as a healthy woman, healthy child, who did I personally see that? And not only that, but they're also moving certain screenings backwards. Yeah, so people in their 30s, men and women, are now being screened for certain things because they're realizing that these things are starting much earlier. So let's be proactive and not reactive, and let's make sure that we are on point when it comes to getting our medical checkups. Okay. The question on the table was, can we say too soon? And like the gentleman said, although there are scriptures that state certain things, God is the only giver and taker of life. He is the only one who makes the decisions. So to say that someone left here too soon, that's not up to us to say. There was a young man who was in his early 20s who was murdered. And the funeral was full of people who talked about how he had inspired them. And I mean, these were older people too. All kinds of testimonies about he inspired me to go back to school. He inspired me to behave like this. He inspired me to do this. He inspired me not to do this. I mean, the testimonies were amazing. And here he was just in his early 20s. Can we say he died too soon? With the level of impact that he had on lives, can we honestly say that he died too soon? We don't have that ability to say who died too soon. And I'm going to kind of merge this with another story. There was a couple who was married, and they were married for a nice amount of time, easily maybe 20 years or so. And they were not older. And she got sick, and after just being ill for quite some time, and she passed away. And she passed away on his birthday. And the question from him was, why would God allow her to die on my birthday? And I loved the way it was explained. And it was explained because I was told the story of the conversation. And the way it was explained was, listen, from the time God created her, he knew the day that she would be here, and he knew the day that she would leave here. He knew her birth date, and he knew her date of death, because only he controls that. And it was already decided that May 3rd would be the day. It happened to be your birthday. But that's not God simply saying, well, you know what, I'm going to let her die on May 3rd. As, that it would affect you, or the question was, kind of, on the opposite side of it, God knew how it would affect me. Why would he allow it to happen on my day? We can't, we can't dictate what a life will be and the impact, or how useless. There are people, listen, I know a lot of people may not agree with me, but there are a lot of people who waste their lives. That are things that God would have them do, the impact that they could make. I'm looking at it. I've seen it many, many years. That there would be, and I'm not saying they have not been useful at all, so please understand what I'm saying. Pastor KL says quite often, God can use you in your brokenness, and it's absolutely correct. However, is that how God wants to use you? Does God want to use you in your brokenness, or does God want to build you up so that you can make the best impact on this earth as possible? He's not going to see this life go to complete waste. So he uses you in your brokenness. However, it's the same thing I say all the time. People say, well, I can't help somebody till I help myself. Who said that? Who says who? You can take what you have and bless lives. Now, is your life where you would like it to be, where it can have its best impact? Maybe not. However, are you now going to become completely useless because it's not where you feel it should be? It may not even be where God wants it to be. However, it can be used. Your life can be used. So that kind of begs for us to make God's purpose of keeping us here come to its best at all times. Am I going to allow God to wake me up every day to be useless? I got to get it together. I'm going to get this right. I'm going to give you, God, I'm going to give you my life. So many people feel like they can't do nothing for nobody until they get it right. Well, baby, if that's the case, would nobody be doing anything? Because even with us living a life that we are happy with, where we are satisfied with, it doesn't necessarily say that God feels that we have reached the potential and the level where we need to be. So do what you need to do as you get up every day. Ask God, what do you have for me today? Stop waking up with your plans, because that's why we do not fulfill everything that God has for us. Get yourself together and stop living underneath your potential in the Lord. Now, pay attention, because I didn't say your potential, because baby, our potential is all over the place. I can't listen. I can speak for you. I can speak to you from personal experience. Can I tell you how many times God has had to say, didn't I tell you? Or didn't I knock on your door for? Or weren't you supposed to? And you know what I'm saying? Well, when I lose 10 pounds, I can do this. When my hair gets this long, I could do this. You know, my girls always laugh because they would say, why don't you color your hair? Okay, I'm going to color my hair when I lose weight. And they're like, what does that have to do with anything? In my brain, it all gets associated. Well, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about us not rising to the potential that God has for us, because in our own heads, in our internal being, we don't feel as though we are where we need to be in order to make the best impact. Well, that's us. And then on the flip side of that, we don't do anything. I can't help nobody till I help myself. No. So we can't say that so-and-so died too soon. Even if we feel like somebody expedited their life. You know, in other words, like Pastor KL said, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. They say drug dealers, you're either going to go to jail or you're going to go into the grave, one or the other. And if that's your lifestyle, it ain't going very far. Now, the other question on the table was, because somebody feels as though it's time for them to go, God just releases them. Well, I'd like to cite how many people try to kill themselves. And we had someone actually that I did a segment with. He tried to kill himself like 13 times. And I mean, it was a plethora of ways. He tried to shoot himself. He tried to hang himself. He did, just several ways. He tried to kill himself, and God was like, no. And then you say, well, what does that speak for when God allows people to commit suicide? Well, let's go back. We live in a fallen world, and we're going to, not Christian, not non-believers, we're going to be susceptible to a whole lot of things, and God is going to allow things to happen. Now, do I know the mind of God and to say, well, so-and-so, like it was cited, this one had a wife, and he was really, really distraught at the fact that she was no longer here, and in 2 months, because he just didn't have a will to live anymore, God just said, okay, go ahead, I'm gonna let you die. Here's why I can't subscribe to that, because it wasn't like he was gonna go to be with her. Again, the Bible tells us that the dead know nothing, that who can praise me from the grave? He's sleeping now, waiting for the return. He ain't there now that he didn't die. They're gonna be sitting up holding hands, in the park. So that makes me, that's one of the reasons why I lean to, does God sometimes allow a person to give up? Well, clearly he does, because he allows suicide. So he honors the request. But can we definitively say that yes, because so-and-so got tired of living, that they are now gone? I just let them go because they were tired of living. We can't say that. I want to share something with you real personal, and some of you may believe it, some of you may not. My mother had a stroke, and she could not live on her own. And prior to that, she wasn't like stroked out where she couldn't move or whatever. She had some mobility, but she clearly couldn't live by herself anymore. And prior to that, she would not let anybody come up in that house. No matter what we said, get somebody, let somebody help you. It was like, no, ain't nobody come up in my house. You know, like a lot of older people, they ain't want nobody in their house. And I can understand, no big deal. But when she had the stroke, we were like, okay, you might as well give that thought up because you're not going back. You won't let anybody come in there. And we're really not going to allow anybody to come in there now. Not because you're unaware of what's going on, but because we need to just keep an eye on you. So we moved her here. And I watched my mother's quality of life mentally decline. My mother was a talker. Oh my God, was she a talker? And I'm saying, oh my God, she could talk you from here to China and not stop. But I watched her. And internally, in my head, I knew she didn't want to be here no more. She didn't want to be here no more. You know, all the life that she had and all of the vibrancy, it was gone. And she would just sit, you know, and she accepted the fact that she was still here. But at the end of the day, if she had her way, she wouldn't have been here. She ended up getting sick and having to go into the hospital again and blah, 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 blah. And the day she was due to come home from the rehabilitation center, they took her back. She had chest pains. And anybody that knows, once you say you got chest pains, especially older people, they're taking you to the emergency room. So she was due to come home from rehab. And the night before, they called us and said, we have to take her to the emergency room. She never came home because she passed away in the hospital about a month and a half later. And about 2-3 months after she passed away, the Lord said to me, I took her off your plate. He said, I have things for you to do. And it's not that she was a burden, but I needed to make room. Now, I'm going to go back. She had pretty much lost her will to live. If she could have verbalized, Stephanie, I don't want to be here no more, she would have, but she didn't say it to me. But I know my mother. I knew my mother when we were very close. And I just watched just her countenance and just who she wasn't any longer. So I could easily say, well, you know what? God answered and said, well, I didn't want to live here no more. I didn't want to be here no more. So he just, closed her eyes. And it was very, very, it wasn't painful or anything like that. She just kind of drifted. I was there. She just left here, quietly. And later on, when God said to me, I took her off your plate, because I never believed that he closed her eyes because of that anyway. But when he said to me, I took her off your plate, because I needed to make room for what I ultimately had. He knew. She was living with me in my house. I wasn't the one taking care of her. Shantice was really, really one who was really taking care of her. But I look at what Shantice was able to do once my mother was no longer here. And again, it's not that she was a burden, but there's a plan that God has for our lives. And we have to, that's what I said, we don't know the mind of God. So we can't say that because someone has lost the will to live, that he is going to honor that request. At times he does. There was a man who worked at my job who had a nephew. And he came in one day, he was like, please, Stephanie, please pray for my nephew because he just jumped off the Triborough Bridge. He tried to kill himself. He's in the hospital. And, kept coming back periodically. How's your nephew? Blah, 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 blah. And one day he said to me, he said, he died over some girl. His heart was broken over some woman. He said, now I couldn't believe that, Stephanie, because I thought he was stronger than that. He said, but I'm going to be honest with you. And I didn't tell anybody else this, but this was his second time. This was his second time where he had jumped off the bridge. And he was still holding on. It was maybe been about a week at this point of this second time. And finally, God closed his eyes. Now, do we know God closes his eyes? Because, listen, you didn't try. Once you turn twice, says you have this will to be gone. I'm just going to go. We don't know. We don't know. But I equated it to my own story because we don't know. God has a complete complete plan. See, our vision is like this. God's vision is this. So whatever he does with his plan on the table, not our plan, his plan on the table. So we have to trust God for when he closes that life down and we say, oh, I wish they had been here. It was too soon. She has so much more to do. She has so much more to live for. You know, he has so much more to accomplish. How do we know that God has not considered everything that they've accomplished, what he knew they were going to accomplish in the amount of time that they were here for? So we have to be very careful as to not put things on God. We cannot say yes definitively, but we do know God has a plan. What's God's plan for your life? That's the question on the table that I'm going to leave you with this week. What is God's plan for your life? Have you accomplished everything that God has designed for you? Do you know your end date? Answer is clearly not. So if God were to close your eyes tomorrow and you've got your people sitting on the outside looking in your grave, in your coffin, talking about, oh, she just didn't do everything she was supposed to do. Whose fault is that? Oh, there's so much more she could have accomplished. Whose fault is that? Had you connected with God to see about his plans for your life? I have so many people who have said it on both sides of the fence. I wish I were no longer here. If I had my way, I'd be gone. And you got those other ones that say, hook me up to a car battery if you got to keep me here. Either one of those extremes is dangerous. Either one of those extremes is dangerous. So the other side, the one side that says, I need to be gone. I wish I were gone. You know, if I had my way, God could close my eyes right now, I'd be fine. What are you saying to God? What are you saying to God? You wasting your time on me? I have no gratitude for the time that you're giving me. That if there's things, God, that you are concerned, because your word says that you don't want to see any one of us perish. Do I not care that you, in your graciousness, would give me an extra day, just for me to make it right? And just excluding that right there, that I'm so dissatisfied with life that I would say, just kill me, God. I ain't got no will to live. I've been there. I've been here a long time ago, but I was there. You know, I was so distraught. I'm like, God, I'm going to sleep. I don't want you to wake me up. And I'm so grateful to God that he didn't listen to Stephanie. Pastor KL says it's when God tells us no, when God says no, I thank God for the no, because I realized, girl, do you know what you were just asking God? That would that be a charge against you? For you to ask God to just go ahead and close your eyes? So you don't care nothing about what he plans to do with your life, but as far as you're concerned, it can be closed down. And even time was given to you to do nothing else but make it right so that you can make it in. You don't care. And then you got the other side that says, I don't care what happens. Hook me up to a car battery. There was a woman who said that. Hook me up to a car battery if you got to, so that I can live and stay here. What are you saying to God? That I don't care what plan you got for me. That even if you closed down my life before I made a big mistake and now put into question whether I was going to make it in or not, I'm willing to run that risk. That you don't have the best for me, that you would say, I'm going to close this down at 61, that I'm going to close this down at 72, that I'm going to close this down at 35. We all know most people are not ready to leave here when it's time. You know, all the people who have cancer and, you know, all kinds of diseases and things like that. We know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not ready to go. However, when you talk about put me up to a car battery or whatever you got to do, extend my life and all of that kind of stuff, That teeters on something else. Well, all of it questions, does God know best? Am I the one who knows, or are you the one, God, who knows? And I'm going to trust you. Every day, I pray that I have another opportunity to get it right. Because if there's one thing I did wrong that put into question whether I would make it in or not, thank you, God, for waking me up today. Every day, on Monday through Friday, I wake up to ministering to each and every one of you. How do I know that that's not God's way of saying, you know what? I'm going to keep you there, girl. What is God doing for us that's aiding our entry into the kingdom? Or what are you doing to see to it that you go to hell? That's a big question. I'm praying that the things that are said here are the things that make you draw closer to Christ, that make you say, you know what? I'm tired of throwing caution to the wind. I'm tired of trying to figure this thing out on my own. Because clearly, no matter if I'm rich or poor, no matter if I'm black or white, no matter what my background is, no matter where I am right now, I don't have control over my life. Not in that sense. Not when I go from here. Not when I leave here. I don't have that control. Because I could try to commit suicide. There have been people who have been shot in the head who are still here. The thing got caught up in the head, the skull, and they ain't touching it, and they still living. So God has shown I am the only one who can say when. Well, do you want God to say when and you're not ready? I don't think you want that. Because when we're not ready, that's a chance we may enter into the pit of hell. And that's real. So my petition to you today, Shantice, make sure that phone number goes up in the chat room, please. If there's some contemplation, Pastor Steph, you know what? I heard something that made me think about this thing. And can you help me? Can you help me? Show me this God that you keep talking about. Show me all of what the Do Time crew talk about. Because you got some things that's been said on your show that I'm tuning into every day to listen. But I'm going to pay attention today. And that curiosity is drawing me closer to just finding out what does God have for my life, so that when he does make that decision. We talked about comedians as young as 22 years old and as late as in their 80s. We talked about death by accident. There was one who had a car accident. We talked about suicide. We talked about illness. None of these people had control, and neither do you. If they could have been here, for those who did not commit suicide, if they could have been here, some of them would be okay with leaving or being here. But they had no say. You have say right now, but that's only the time you got right now. We don't have later. We don't have later. Right now is the time to make your decision. And if you're even thinking, make sure you make that phone call. Because God didn't put that thought in your head. He didn't allow you to think. He's calling you. If you are on here right now, he's calling you. You're not just here for no reason. You're here so that God can let you know he wants you. Because the Bible says that none of us came to him on our own. He called us and we answered. And I am personally grateful that God gave me that opportunity and I didn't waste it any longer. I had wasted enough. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm paying for the time that I wasted. All those stupid decisions that I made when God was calling my name and I knew better and I was like, I'm going to do it this way. Even if I thought it was for the best, I'm eating those decisions. Well, I always think about, well, dang, I wish I had accepted God earlier, because the decisions I would make, I would be eating, but for the best, not for the bad, not for the worst. So come on. Don't waste this time. Don't waste this time looking at the screen and just looking and turning away like you didn't hear anything. Yeah, you heard it. You hear Pastor Steph. You've heard the men talk. You've heard the ladies talk all week. You've heard. And now is the acceptable time, as they say. Again, not later, because later is not promised to us. So I'm hoping that phone will ring. Make that phone ring. Let God know, you know what? I hear you knocking on the door. And it's about that time. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, make sure you focus on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the men, for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping us do what we do, keeping that chat room alive, letting us know you're out there and you're listening. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship in the Lord right now, because later is not promised to anyone. Again, please make sure that you, if you have not already done so, get that screening, get that prostate checked, get that colonoscopy done. Whatever it is that you need to do, get to the doctor and get it done, because time waits for no one. If something is simmering, you definitely want to know about it. Until Sunday night, God spares, where it's the Word Prayer Project. Until then, I love